Welcome, everyone. I call this meeting to order. Stand with me and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Secretary, will you please call roll?
Chair Burton,
Present.
Commissioner Puppy, Commissioner Ragsdale,
Here.
Commissioner Kupsick,
Here.
Vice Chair Damasio, Commissioner Bassler,
Here.
Commissioner Trupiano,
Here.
Alternate Hester, Alternate Manuel,
Here.
Alternate Belshi, Alternate McDonald. We have Alternate Manuel seated for District 1 and Alternate Hester seated for District 4.
Thank you, Carrie. Next on the agenda, item number 2 are the minutes. May I have a motion?
I move that we approve the minutes of the April 8th, 2025 Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Mr. Kupsek, what was that? What was that?
That was a yes, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Motion passes. All right. Next item on the agenda is, I did that already. We have the regular agenda, which is item 3A, Yuma and Apache Multifamily Site Plan, case number PLZ SP-240031, presented by Mandy Woods, Principal Planner.
Right. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Mandy Woods, Principal Planner with Development Services. And tonight I'm going to be presenting Yuma and Apache Multifamily Site Plan, PLZ SP 24-0031. And just for a brief project overview, the applicant on this is Mark Reddy with RVI Planning and Landscape Architecture on behalf of Sage Creek Festival LLC, who is the owner, and Dominium, who is the developer on the project. The location is the southeast corner of Yuma and Apache Road, and the request is for site plan approval of a 200-unit multifamily build-to-rent style residential community on approximately 17 acres of property. For site context, you can see the project site is outlined in red there. The current property right now is vacant. To the north is the Acacia Crossing residential community across Yuma Road. To the south is Desert Moon Estates, another residential community. To the east, it's currently vacant, but this will be the future Sundance Apartments multifamily project, which is a relatively recent site plan approval before P&Z. And then west is Bungalows at Sundance, another build-to-rent project, and the Ferde RV Resort. Both of those are across Apache Road. The general plan land use designation of the property is neighborhood, so the proposed development is consistent with the land use designation of the property. The existing zoning designation on this is one of our obsolete zoning districts, which is Commercial Center, and CC does permit the proposed use, which is multifamily residential. And just to give a brief overview of some of the details on the site plan, it is 200 units, build-to-rent style. There is 100 three-bedroom units and then 100 four-bedroom units, which we find to be a very unique rental product. It's exclusively these bedroom counts. So this is a really intended to be an affordable option more for families. And the density proposed is just over 10 dwelling units per acre, which is compliant with the density that's allowed in the zoning district, which it allows up to 14.52 dwelling units per acre. And then as far as buildings on the property, it's comprised of 95 two-story duplex residential buildings, and then 10 one-story single-unit accessible residential buildings. And then there's a central amenity clubhouse slash leasing office. And parking is compliant with all of our development code requirements. And now that I've given you the overview, this is the site plan itself. I did want to note that this is rotated so that way north points right. Fits better on the slide when it's oriented that way. So the primary access is from Apache Road, and that is shown with the green arrow right there. There is an emergency access that's provided. There's an emergency access only easement that is along the southern edge of the property, and that is actually a shared access easement with the future Sundance Apartments to the east. And it is only intended for emergency access, so that emergency access gate is right there. And then there is just another quick thing to highlight, a centrally located community clubhouse and leasing office, like I mentioned. That also is the pool area and playground area, just to kind of show where the primary arrival experience is when people enter the site. And up on the screen is the landscaping plan. Again, the note that north is to the right, just like on the site plan. Open space provided is 31%, which exceeds our code requirements. Our amenitized open space is 15%, which is also compliant. The plant palette is low water use and shade trees throughout the site, generally kind of concentrated in sort of your amenity areas, your common areas along the perimeter. They have a lot of shading along pedestrian pathways and within the private backyards. And I did want to note that each unit is provided a private rear yard that appears to be just over 10 feet in depth, each as wide as the unit. Just doing a quick area takeoff, it appears there are around 350 square feet of private open space averaged per unit. It's a great amenity for residents. And then this is just zooming in on some of the amenities that I've mentioned. So that's the center of the site there. Again, north is pointing right, but you have the centrally located clubhouse and pool, 2 playgrounds, which I don't know if I show this on here or not. Let's try this out. There. So that's one of the playgrounds, and then that's one of the other playgrounds. They're designed for different age groups. And then 2 secondary amenity areas to the north, the south, I guess that's south and north as well. That provides over 4,000 square feet of natural turf and additional shade ramadas for residents to use. And then throughout the project site, there's also additional multi-purpose turf and lawn areas for various purposes like lawn games or picnicking. And then a private bus shelter, not shown on here, but that's located just off of the primary entry off of Apache Road. For the elevations that were provided, the project does utilize a contemporary architectural style with a color palette that's mostly neutral grays and browns, very complementary to the desert. Got some white, which really kind of hits the contemporary feel, and then some cool blue tones, as well as some warm stone accents throughout. Movement, articulation, and material variety do meet development code requirements. And there are 3 color schemes and some varying roof lines to add some visual interest throughout the project. Right here on the screen is the clubhouse design. And then there are 3 building types for the actual units. Buildings 1 and 2 are the 1-story accessible units. There's only 10 of those. This is building 1, utilizing one of the color schemes. Building 2, again, one of the accessible single-story units, utilizing a different color scheme. And then the majority of the site, so 95 of the buildings, are these two-story duplex units, which really show a lot of great movement as far as changes in plane and color variation. These are just two of the provided color schemes, as well as roof line variations provided on these two-story units. Street elevations were provided within the site plan submittal just to ensure that there's variation in color scheme and roof lines along the perimeters of the project, so the streetscapes are not too repetitive. So these are the views along each of the streetscapes. So the top two, this is, both of these are Apache Road to the north and to the south of the primary entryway. And then this along here is along Yuma Road. That would be the view. And then in addition to the streetscapes, a site plan indicating the color scheme distribution throughout the site was provided just to ensure there's not monotony internal to the site as well. And then these are the wall plan and provided details. The site perimeter does feature a theme wall design. That is broken up with some partial view fencing just to add some additional visual interest and articulation along the street frontages. And then I did want to highlight there's two pedestrian gate connections. See if I can point it out on this. There's one right there, one right there. There's two more along Yuma as well. So there's good connectivity to the perimeter streets as far as pedestrian connections go for the project. For utilities and infrastructure and other services, the developer will be responsible for any water and sewer infrastructure improvements per the reports. The developer will construct half-street improvements. They do provide evenly distributed dumpster enclosures in a loop pattern throughout the project. The project will also have to accommodate drainage in accordance with a provided drainage report. And then property will be serviced by city, fire, and police. I wasn't mentioning school impacts by choice, simply because the use is allowed by right, so they don't have to go through kind of the extra school facilities process here. But that said, the applicant does intend to work with the school districts on impacts generated from this project. And with that, that brings me to the recommendation. The recommendation tonight is to approve PLZ SP 24-0031, subject to conditions A through Q for the following reasons. It furthers goals of the general plan, it conforms to code requirements, and there are no outstanding issues from reviewing departments. I am happy to answer any questions, and then I wanted to note the applicant and their project team is here as well to help answer any questions. Thank you.
You're welcome, Mandy. Excuse me, did the applicants want to speak?
They do not have a presentation prepared, but they're happy to come up if there are questions that I cannot ask or answer.
Thank you, Mandy. All right, starting off with Mr. Tripiano. Questions?
Yeah, I know a little bit about the developer because one of their projects they tried to get into Buckeye before didn't make it, but this is unique for Dominion, isn't it? Usually they build multi-story.
I cannot answer that one, so.
If you step over to the podium or to my
In
left.
Arizona, that's what we've seen.
Good evening. My name is Mark Reddy. I'm the applicant with RVI, and Mark Lamming is with the developer Dominium, so I'll let him respond to that question.
Yeah, it is a relatively new concept. Historically, we've done 3-story walk-ups for family products, and then seniors, we would typically do a 4-story corridor building with elevators. We found that this is a really attractive product. It kind of mimics the single-family lifestyle where you can walk into your front door, you don't have to go up a flight of stairs, and then it also provides a backyard for each unit, which is a lot more attractive than a balcony would be. So we've just found that we can make this type of product work, and it's something that's very livable, so that's what kind of led us this route.
Is the demographic going to follow your other models? I'm just curious on that one.
Yeah, with it being 3 and 4 bedrooms, it will definitely be family oriented. Theoretically, single people could live there, but that's obviously a lot of house for one person. So I'd imagine that the number of heads in each household is probably a little bit higher than average.
Okay. And there's going to be on-site management?
Correct, yeah, full-time. At this size of project, we'd probably have 2 full-time leasing staff, and then a half-time person, and then 2 to 3 maintenance staff as well.
Yeah, the design looks great. I don't have a problem with the design. It's just, I've heard some issues in the past with the company, so I just want to get some questions answered.
Okay, can I, yeah, I mean, we currently own Cholla Ranch in Buckeye. So I mean, that seems like it's been going relatively well. I don't know if there's other specific things that I can address
It's
to.
more about some stuff back east, but that's not near here or there, so
Okay,
right now. All
understood.
right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bassler.
This project fits with the other projects that are along the south side of Yuma, which is all multi-family homes. So my concern is not particularly with this project. My concern is for the traffic engineer and the corner of Yuma and Watson. This is another opportunity that is going to place more and more traffic on Yuma. Since it's down by Apache, I am assuming that some of that traffic will probably flow west to get out to Highway 10, but the majority will follow and go east. So I'm not opposed to this project, but I think the city has got to take a very, very, very close look at the intersection of Yuma and Watson and figure out what they're going to do. It's already a disaster. Somebody's going to get killed there trying to get from Fry's over to Walmart across the traffic. So something has got to happen to that intersection. This is going to add more traffic to that intersection. So again, I'm not opposed to this. It fits with the terrain and what's going on the south side of Yuma, but it will create more and more of an issue with the traffic on Yuma. So that's my concern.
Thank you. Mr. Hester.
I would like to hear from our traffic engineer. I'm sorry? I'd like to hear from our.
I was trying to save you, John.
Union Chair, council members, yes, as Mr. Bassler indicated, and Mr. Hester probably wants to know as well, we are aware that the intersection of Yuma and Watson is constrained traffic volumes. We are looking at trying to figure out a way to put dual eastbound lefts and westbound lefts so people going east and west on Yuma can make a left to go north-south. We know the existing left turn pocket out there today eastbound is extremely short. And because of that, left-turning vehicles in there queue up into one of the eastbound through lanes. That's one of the things that also be resolved when we looked at that intersection. And we're also very familiar with the full medium brake in Rise and Walmart. That'll also be addressed. It's all part of that one big, large project. So we're looking at it. I don't have the answer today to tell you that it'll be fixed by a known date. It's something in our CIP that we're going to evaluate and get taken care of. I'd like to say we're going to have it done before they're operational, but I can't dictate and predict timing completely.
That answered my question.
Okay, no questions.
Ragsdale.
No questions. It does look like a lovely project.
Mr. Manuel.
I have no questions. I do like the way it looks. Thank you.
Thank you. And
Hello? Hello?
I said thank you. Ms. Cupsack, please, it's
Thank
your
you.
turn.
Thank you. My question is, similar to Mr. Bassler's, but will this project warrant a light being put at Apache in Yuma? Seems to be a lot going on at that intersection.
Mr. Willett?
So the intersection of Patch and Yuma, she's right, Ms. Cupsick. This intersection is going, this project is on the hard southeast corner. There's a traffic signal coming in at that intersection. It is a combination of the project across the street, Mark 4, the retail / commercial. They're required to put it in as part of their project day one.
Okay.
Signal will be coming in soon to make this intersection operate a lot better. And the signal, I can almost predict that will be in before development is in.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay.
It looks like a really nice project. It looks like a project that we don't have with all those, it looks like it's going to fit a need for bigger families, and I like that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Cupsack, and I won't forget you again.
Thank you, Chair.
All right. Commission, what's your pleasure? Can I have a motion, please?
I move that we approve PLZ SP-24-0031 to approve the site plan.
Can I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Agenda item number 3B, Miller and I-10, Planned Area Development, Major Amendment, case number PLZZ 240012. Ms. Woods, you're up again.
Good evening again, Commissioners. Again, my name is Mandy Woods, Principal Planner with Development Services. And I am presenting Miller and I-10 Planned Area Development Major Amendment. And this is case number PLZZ 24-0012. The applicant is Carolyn Oberholzer on behalf of Americo Real Estate Company, which is the owner. The location is the southeast corner of Miller Road and I-10, and the request, as I stated, is for a major amendment to an existing PAD overlay on the project site, which is about 29 acres in size. Just for some site context, the project site is shown there outlined in red. It is currently vacant. To the north, there's some property that's still under county jurisdiction, including some vacant land owned by the Flood Control District, across I-10, of course. The south is vacant land. East is a storage user, as well as some vacant land. And then to the west, across Miller Road, is the Miller Commerce Center, which includes some convenience uses, fuel centers, a hotel, and service restaurants. The general plan land use designation of the property is business commerce, which is intended for some community and regional serving commercial development, professional offices, and business parks, and then also encourages access to major roads, while also encouraging walkability and connections to adjoining neighborhoods. The proposed major amendment and the subsequent and anticipated development is consistent with this existing land use designation. The zoning for the property is general commerce, GC, one of our obsolete districts, with an existing planned area development overlay. And that was approved in 2015, case number PLZ 13-00071. And this previous PAD overlay limited the development of the site pretty substantially. It took the GC uses and condensed it down to a very short list, limited to just commercial, retail, food service, hotel and lodging, automotive and transportation, and multifamily / mixed use. So really the purpose of this major amendment to the PAD overlay is to modify this use list, removing the multifamily residential component, and then proposing a new land use plan with uses that really better suit what we see as a really special commercial gateway into the city. So these are uses that really better fit this property. And it is a major amendment just because permitted uses are being modified. This is the land use plan that was submitted. So there are 2 development units that are proposed as part of this land use plan. There is a size range that's provided within the narrative. So the Miller Road development unit is primarily along Miller Road, and this is really intended for those commercial users, things that are more customer interfacing. That can range from about 17 to 21 acres in size. Anything beyond that would require an amendment to the PAD. And then the Yuma Road development unit is tucked away. It doesn't have the frontage on Miller. It would be accessed from Yuma, and then of course has that I-10 frontage for visibility. And this is expected to be 8 to 12 acres, intended for most likely mini storage, and then uses that are associated with that, as well as so vehicle sales, rental, and some supporting retail sales. And those sizes are going to be locked in at the time of subdivision submittal. For kind of the overview of this modified PAD overlay, so future amendments, they just follow standard minor, major amendment procedures by code, except for the sizing that I had already mentioned. Uses and development standards are prescribed for each of the 2 development units that were on the land use plan. They use the base zoning district of general commerce as sort of a starting point, but tailor it accordingly. There was some representative imagery that was provided within the PAD, but I did want to note that this is more for a quality or a hypothetical purpose of, what could develop here, but it's not binding in terms of the architectural style that's going to be seen on the property. Future design reviews are still going to have to go through the normal process for site plan review and follow all development code standards and guidelines. So for proposed uses, this is the use chart that was included within the revised or the proposed narrative for this major amendment to the PAD overlay. And as you can see, it separates it out from the Yuma Road development unit and the Miller Road commercial development unit. So Yuma allows warehousing, retail, mini storage, and vehicle sales and rental. And then the Miller Road commercial development unit, office of varying types, retail, shopping center, potentially a hospital or animal hospital, healthcare, supporting uses, possibly a hotel, religious assembly, and then veterinary clinic. Like I said, art gallery, that was another one. The existing PAD overlay specifically prohibits certain uses, and these are going to remain prohibited in this amendment, and those include things like adult entertainment, assembly yards, automotive junkyards, heavy industrial, heavy manufacturing, landfills, large dairy operations, large distribution centers, outdoor recycling, and waste and salvage yards. So again, that's carried over from the previous approval. They're going to remain prohibited. And these uses are significantly shorter than what GC, the base zoning currently allows, or currently, but would allow if there was no overlay, I should say. The proposed development standards, just taking it one development unit at a time. The Miller Road development unit, there are modified setback standards. However, these are unchanged from the existing PAD overlay. There's no changes proposed there. There is an increased height allowance for if there were to be a regional hospital user on the site, and that can go up to 120 feet just based on what a hospital would actually need, but that height allowance is strictly for hospitals only, no other uses. There is a higher percentage of landscaping that's provided this time around. The previous open space requirement was 10%. For this development unit, it is now 20%, which is more closely aligns with our development code standards for commercial landscaping expectations. All remaining standards otherwise follow the general commerce-based district standards. Yuma Road development unit is relatively similar. There's no hospital allowance necessarily for that one, but similar in the sense that there's some modified setback standards and height, but these are, again, unchanged from the existing PAD overlay that's in place. It retains the 10% site enhancement landscaping, which fits the character of this development unit since it's not as commercially oriented. And then the remaining standards follow the general commerce-based district standards in place. And then the last thing that I wanted to point out differences-wise, the existing signage standards within the existing PAD overlay. So it calls for 2 freeway pylon signs. These are 80-foot in height. One was anticipated as a digital billboard with potentially 672 square feet of copy area. There's also 5 tenant monument signs and an entry sign. And they're very specific about signage locations and standards and conceptual renderings. In spite of all of the kind of specificity, it still requires a comprehensive sign plan. So for simplicity and because the expected site user is not necessarily wasn't ready to provide all of this detail, this was dialed back. So there are still 2 freeway pylon signs anticipated in the revised amended version of this overlay, but these are dialed back to meet our development code requirements for freeway pylon signs, so lower height, lower copy area, no off-site advertising, and they would be restricted to 1 per development unit. That way they are spaced out a little bit. There's 1 fewer monument sign expected, still an entry sign expected, but there's not as many of like the renderings and stuff. All of that will be deferred to a comprehensive sign plan in the future, which is a viable route to take care of all of the signage needs for the project and would be typical for a multi-user commercial development. For public participation, there was a neighborhood meeting held on March 19th of 2025 at 6 p.m. The Buckeye Elementary School District Administration Office, so rather close to the project site. This did go out to the larger 500-foot mailing area just because of the size of the site. And there were only, attendees were only the project team, city staff, and then 3 council members attended as well. We haven't heard any other public comment on this. And then noticing did follow all of the development code requirements required by both code and statute. For future development and infrastructure, there will be required submittals and approvals of future site plan and subdivision applications. And at that time, that's when staff will ensure that any proposed development is consistent with the proposed PAD overlay and just features kind of the expected high-quality design that meets our current code requirements. There is no formal phasing plan that is prescribed by the PAD narrative. It's expected that the future user for the Yuma development unit is pretty eager to move forward, so that could happen. And then the developer is required to complete transportation, water, sewer, and drainage infrastructure improvements as determined by any of those future site plan approvals. And then the property will be serviced by city fire and police. No school impact to consider because, of course, there's no residential uses that are included anymore. And with that, the recommendation on this is we do recommend to conduct a public hearing initially and then recommend approval of the case to mayor and city council subject to conditions A through T for the following reasons, in that it furthers goals of the Buckeye General Plan. It either conforms to code standards or proposes alternate standards that results in even higher quality development. And then there's no outstanding issues from reviewing departments. And with that, the applicant is here in attendance. And I am also available to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Woods. I go to the commissioners first. Commissioners, starting, do you have any questions, starting with you, Mr. Manuel? I'm sorry.
I have no questions. I just think it's a good place to get developed. It's been kind of vacant for quite a while.
Thank you. Ms. Ragsdale.
I agree. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Cupsack.
Thank you, Chair. I do have a question for Mandy, please. The sign slide. I think I remember why we approved the higher signage, because the freeway curves weird right there, and the smaller signs weren't going to be very visible from either side of the coming from the east or coming from the west because of the Jones Ford stuff and then the development across the street and I think I remember that. I might be wrong, but I think I remember that. Is there a reason why they were dialed back then?
So I can't speak to the history as to like what was considered at the time of the original approval, but it was the applicant's proposal to make them more compliant with our existing development code requirements.
Oh, okay. That answers my question then. I'm all about the signs. I want people to know where our businesses are. Thank you. That's all I have. It looks nice. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Cupsack. Mr. Hester.
The only thing I would bring up is there any concern with the state, with the I-10 Miller on and off? Seems to be it's one lane. And I think the more we're getting in there, is there any thought of a 2-lane off and 2-lane on?
Chair, Commissioner Hester, I should have mentioned before, John Willett, City Traffic Engineer. The northbound approach on Miller to I-10, if you're familiar with it, it actually does have 2 lanes to get on the freeway. It widens right there. This project not be required to do any improvements to Miller Road. Their access to Miller is strictly through the Pima signal. It's there today. It's already been set up to have a east leg in their development. Getting on the freeway, they just come out and make a right turn, and they're already in a right turn lane, basically. The 4th lane going north basically starts just north of the Pima intersection.
Do we think this is going to take some of the traffic off of Yuma? And have them-
Not really, sorry. So Pima Street going through, it was never, back up a little bit. In the original agreement for all those parcels, when Yuma was realigned several years ago, Pima Street was not supposed to connect directly between Miller and that north-south, what we now call 249th Avenue. It was not to do that. It's because we didn't want cars to cut through this commercial shopping area. We want them to stay down on the Yuma Miller Durango connection all the way down to the Durango signal, then make the right and go north. Will they do it? Quite possible. Depends on how the parcel's laid out and the driveway are set up and the parking field is there. They're not supposed to cut through to Pima. Can't guarantee it won't happen, but yeah.
Don't go away.
Mr. Bassler.
Can you put up the overhead again of the property? I think in your discussion, you've probably already answered my question, but if Yuma could go across the north part of that property over to Miller, it would smooth traffic flow.
The driver one, the top one.
Light.
So you're talking about right through here?
Right.
Okay, so a little history, it used to do that.
I know. I
And-
used to live here when it did
And
that.
ADOT came in and said, we can't allow an intersection, this location, right next to a freeway interchange intersection.
Okay.
So that's how this parcel was recarved or redone to come down here. I'm not driving very well, and then match it, Durango intersection, yeah. So it sat out there for quite a while. In fact, when ADOT came in and built the interchange, they put the eastbound on-ramp right on Old Yuma Road. And if you're kind of really familiar, This cul-de-sac right here, sorry, I scroll sometimes, this cul-de-sac immediately north of Burger King was put in at our request to provide access to Burger King if they ever wanted in the future, because they terminated the road slightly farther to the east. Again, they didn't want Yuma Road to connect to Miller right there.
Okay.
Well, you're right. If it was there, it would have leave some of it, but it then would create a really bad bottleneck at the Miller TI intersection.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I think the change is great. That's fine.
Thank you, Mr. Tripiano.
First off, I'm surprised the Yuma one isn't a little bit more orangey. The retail area, is the plan to put shops and stuff, or, I know it's not, we're not working at the site plan, but something to draw traffic away from Watson? Because that could help by taking that store traffic, people shopping and stuff, from Watson over to this area. Plus Miller is supposed to be a corridor, so just as long as it's in keeping with that, I see nothing wrong with the plan, so.
Let me clarify, are you asking retail on the Miller Road Commercial
Yes.
Development Unit? So there is no proposed site plan for that one right now, so I can't get too granular
Yeah.
on what might occur there, but.
It'd be
I understand what
nice.
you're saying.
I'm just saying it would be nice. And the sign plan that you put up there, is that per unit or is that overall?
It's overall.
So one entrance sign for the whole entire thing, both units?
Correct. It would be for the entire project, and then the two, I guess, let me switch to the proposed. The two pylon signs, it's one per development unit.
And if they find out that it's really not enough signs, they can come back and we can do part of town.
They're going through a comprehensive sign plan as well, so.
Okay.
That will
'Cause I-
delineate the future requirements as well.
One entry sign might be a little, in my opinion, might be a little light, so, all right, thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I will open it up for a public hearing. Madam Secretary, do we have any requests?
We do not.
Thank you. I will close the hearing. May I have a motion?
I motion that we approve PLZZ-24-0012 with conditions A through T.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Next agenda item is 3C, Pros Verado, Site Plan, Case Number PLZ SP-24-0023. Mr. Galika, Planning Manager.
Good evening, sir, members of the commission. Good evening, Commissioner Kupsik. Sad you're not joining us here in person tonight, but we'll see you hopefully next time. I am presenting a site plan for a project called Pros Verado, case PLZ SP 24-0023. And you might know this as the residential component of the zoning case that came before you not all that long ago called the Mix at Roosevelt. The Mix at Roosevelt was a property that stretched from Roosevelt Street on the north to Fillmore on the south, just east of Verado Way, including a shopping center and a multifamily component. This is that multifamily component. We did the site plan for the shopping center not too long ago. So you can see the two exhibits on your screen. The aerial photograph has the property highlighted in yellow. It's a little over 17 acres. It is within that Mix at Roosevelt PAD. And of course, the site is within the landing, or what the general plan calls the Gateway Activity Center. Looking at surrounding properties, this area is buzzing right now with future development. So the Mix Shopping Center with the Sprouts is just to the north. Summit Church and the Verado High Street multifamilies located to the east. And then Greenlight Verado, which is a mixed-use project with more multifamily as well as some commercial, is to the south. And then, of course, all the stuff going on currently under construction to the west side of Verado with Roosevelt Commons, Buckeye Commons West, and the Abrazo, all commercial type of developments. The proposal tonight is a 394-unit market rate apartment community. So this is not a affordable housing type of projects. This will be something, you could expect to pay a fair sum for your units by a company called Alliance Residential. The project includes 16 three-story buildings, each with 24 units. Those are shown in kind of the burnt orange color. Also along the north edge of the site, 5 two-story buildings, 28 feet in height. Those are first floor garages. We'll have, I believe, 8 garages on the ground floor with 2 residential units above, kind of like a townhome almost. 7 single-story garage-only buildings without the residences above, kind of mixed throughout the site. And then right at the primary entrance to the site, a 1-story clubhouse. All the buildings here, particularly the 3-story, are increased in height purposefully to create the more urban feel that the city is looking for within the landing, particularly out against Verado Way and Fillmore Street. And I'll show you some building elevations shortly. The unit mix, so you just heard a multifamily project earlier tonight, which was really heavy on the 3 and 4 bedrooms, attractive for families. This is much more geared to the empty nesters or young professionals, not mostly, 1 and 2 bedroom units only. So nothing larger than that with, again, the total of 394. And in addition to that increased building height that I mentioned, the architecture is pressed forward here. So rather than having parking or even landscaped area, significant amounts of landscape area on the outside of the buildings, between the buildings and the street, these press the buildings forward almost in like a brownstone style of concept to activate the streets, put people in the area walking to the adjacent commercial. The primary access to the site, ingress and egress, will be off of Fillmore, which will be a 2-way access here. There is a signal planned for Fillmore Street. There are also 2 cross accesses directly into the Mix Commercial Shopping Center. Those will allow residents to enter and exit. Visitors would not be able to enter. They wouldn't have the key, the RFID chip to enter there. So the visitors would have to come in through the main entrance. All the accesses are gated. And in terms of vehicular parking, all of the requirements for the city were exceeded by 23% or 100 and some spaces in excess of what the code minimum is. So should not be any sort of parking shortage on this property. Shifting from vehicles to pedestrians, there's a comprehensive on-site pedestrian circulation network that's provided. You can see here all the lines. The colors just indicate the width of the path, so just kind of ignore that. Look at all of these being the same. All of these will be sidewalks, and you can see it's just a web of connectivity throughout the project, connecting the buildings to the amenities such as the pool area and the parking areas as well. There are multiple connections to both the Verado Way and Fillmore Street public sidewalks, which is, again, activating that corridor that we're really trying to press forward here. And importantly, and a requirement of the PAD when it was approved, 3 direct connections into the Mix at Roosevelt Shopping Center. So the residents in this community can walk directly through their project, landscape shaded pathways, into the shopping center without ever having to go out of the the residential project to the public right-of-way. The architecture of the project is contemporary, which is certainly befitting of the landing, what we're looking for within the landing area. It's following a precedent set by some other projects that have previously been approved. I think you'll notice these elevations are fairly, I don't know what the right word is, timeless, if you will, in terms of the colors, neutral earth tones, brick and metal accents. This is not the type of building that will look dated when the color palette shifts to what's popular in 5 years from now. All of these facades are significantly articulated with depth in movement, so the wall plane comes in and out. The accessory structures and project walls, where they are provided, are complementary as well. You can see some of the examples down here. And all of the lighting, which I don't have any pictures on the slide, is dark sky compliant. So just to walk you through what I'm showing here, these are the 3-story buildings. These are the 3-story buildings, 24 units apiece. This is the most common building on the site. These are those 2-story carriage unit buildings that I mentioned. So you have the 8 garages on the ground floor, and then a central entrance here to 2 residential units. So one in the left half and one on the right. And this is just the back of that same building. This is the community clubhouse. You can see it shares the same architectural themes as the buildings themselves. Few materials, uses a pretty cool, we went back and forth on brick and didn't want to choose something that looked a little historic. So we tried to find something that was as modern of a brick as possible, and this is what we settled on. So we think this is going to really be a nice addition to the landing area. No feedback on this project in the site plan stage. Even going back to the rezoning stage, very minimal feedback that we received. Just to summarize staff's opinion or view of this project, it is in direct conformance with the general plan, furthers a lot of the objectives that we have for development in the landing. Really, what that means, when I say that, what that means is this area has a huge potential in the future to kind of be one of the city's focal points from a commercial activity standpoint, retail, restaurant, office, but to be able to support that type of development, we need to have the rooftops in the area, and this will add 394 more rooftops to the area, which is so vital in attracting the developers as well as the businesses themselves that rely on those numbers, basically. This also achieves the desired urban aesthetic and active edge along Broadway. I mentioned that a few times. We feel that it is very high quality architecture and landscape design, vehicular and pedestrian access and connectivity, as well as, actually, did I miss this slide? Well, that's so weird. I had an open space slide in here, but it didn't seem to make the final cut. Or is it hidden? Let me check something. Oh, yeah. Well, I apologize. If I had the slide, what it would tell you is the project exceeds the open space requirements by relatively significant percentage. Most of the amenities are distributed throughout the site. The biggest amenities are the centralized pool area. We also have a dog park area here and a children's playground here in this area. So kind of a range of amenities for different types of residents, all connected to one another in a really well-connected fashion. I spent a lot of time coloring that landscape plan, putting circles on all the trees, and now it's not here. It's so frustrating. Developer will be completing all of the complete adjacent street and utility infrastructure improvements as is standard. The city does have a project for some of the median Verado Way. So if the city's CIP does that, they would be exempted out from that particular requirement. But anything that we don't do, they will do. And of course, as with any project that makes it to this point and comes before the Planning and Zoning Commission, all of the reviewing departments have signed off. So with that, Chair, we do recommend approval subject to conditions A through double E. Carolyn Oberholzer and a team of others representing the project are here tonight. I don't believe they have any sort of prepared remarks, but happy to answer questions, I'm sure, if needed. Not as long as Mandy's.
I like the way it looks. I think it'll be a good addition to the city, but my only concern, and I don't know, I guess it's like beating a dead horse, is the increased traffic to get to the freeway. And people living there that has to go to Phoenix in the morning are not gonna be happy if they've never been here before, you know.
Yes.
And I know there's plans, and we gotta wait on ADOT, but
Yeah, Chair, Commissioner, it's a fair assessment of the issue. Verado itself, this, you know, not the I-10 on-ramp, but Verado itself is actually improved, and with this project would be improved pretty much to its full capacity. It's just the problem is with the on-ramp. So until that ADOT project gets worked out, we will have some temporary growing pains, but I know it's something you're working on.
Commissioner Manuel, yes, as Ken kind of alluded, the primary challenge is the interchange itself. It's a bottleneck. I know in the mornings, trying to get on the freeway backs up, and primarily because I-10 is backed up. So we can't even get the people off the on-ramp onto the main line to get people off Verado onto the on-ramp. So we're working with ADOT. There is a project to add a fourth lane on I-10 by some striping changes between Verado and Loop 303. That's proceeding. It should hopefully go to construction sometime this summer. I just can't tell you, is that July 1st or is that August 31st? I don't know exactly when. It's out of my control. It's ADOT's. They'll advertise it. They'll hire a contractor to do the work. So we will get some relief that way. Verado interchange is bottlenecked. We know it needs to be wider, but I really can't do anything with it until Jackrabbit TI is finished. I have a place to move cars to. It'll take a while. It's coming, but it's just going to be slow. Sorry.
thanks. I kind of knew that already, but
Why did I come up here? Just kidding. I don't mind.
just I just felt like I had to talk about traffic on that road again, because the backup sometimes is that goes all the way to Fillmore in the mornings. So.
While you're there, I have a question. Is there anything they can do when you're driving down the main street in Buckeye as well as the freeway, you can't see the lines? If the sun's shining, I just follow the car in front of me because I hope I'm in between the right white lines. But if you look in the rearview mirror, all the lines are perfect. You can see all the lines in the rearview mirror.
Chair, Commissioner Ragsdale, I suggest clean your windshield. No, I'm just kidding. Is it on Verado as well, or some of the other roads? I know some of the other roads are really kind of bad.
And Chair, Commissioner, if I may, we're getting a little off topic. If we can confine the comments and questions to this project, and if you feel comfortable asking those questions offline after the meeting, thank you.
Talk afterwards.
Okay. No other questions, thank you.
Thank you. Chester. Excuse me, Ms. Kupsek.
Thank you, Chair. Ken, if you can go back to the sidewalk slide. Please.
Yes, ma'am.
The dotted lines it seems like it goes through the buildings. How does that work?
Oh, that's just showing it kind of an internal hallway in the
Oh,
building.
okay.
So it cuts through the building and then exits out on both ends.
Okay. all right, I didn't know if it was like a skywalk or something
No,
like that.
probably not something that you would use for recreation, but it is part of the project's connectivity, yeah.
Okay, okay, that explains that. It's a very nice project. I do, I approve of it. It's very nice. It'll be a nice addition to our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cupsack. I'm not going to skip me this time. I'm going to get this in. We continue to build these 3-story buildings with no elevators. I don't understand that, but I digress. Mr.
For
Hester.
young people.
No, I have no questions.
Thank you. Mr. Bessler.
Oh, Fillmore Street, does it end at this project, or will it continue to go to the east as a possible way to kind of clear some of the traffic out?
Yeah. Chair, Commissioner Bassler, it does continue past this project, but only a little bit to serve this Verado High Street project. So, of course, this is the property we're talking about tonight. This is the adjacent development, which is approved. Fillmore will end basically at this point. It can't go any further east, at least at this point in time, because of the, what you can't see here is the large flood control structure, Maricopa County Flood Control District, that basically prevents anything from continuing east. Maybe in the future there's an opportunity to work with the Flood Control District on something like that, but it's not currently in the plans.
They drive through the floods in Scottsdale. I don't know. And another traffic light, so you're going to have a traffic light at Van Buren, Fillmore, and Roosevelt to get to the highway.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Wow. Okay, I don't have a problem with the project. I think it's good. We need it.
Thank you, Mr. Tripiano.
Yes, I'd like to say what we're doing here in this area is nice. It conforms with what I've seen done back east, concentrating the apartments in that area, putting in the retail and all that stuff that we're putting in there. It's maybe something new out here, but it's very common back east, and the cities have multiple cores like that too, that have these jobs and these people living there. So I agree with you, Ken. This is a good mix, good product that is going there. As far as the buildings go, our chairman already took care of the elevator thing. But my thing is, with the internal corridors and it being 3 stories, it's going to get very, very hot in that upstairs corridor, and people moving their furniture in and out during the summer, it's going to be real difficult for them. So as long as we can maximize airflow through there, that's my only concern, is getting the airflow through there. I know it's not, you can't air condition it, but it's some type of airflow through the corridors would be nice to have in this, since they're probably still in the design phase, but that would be my only concern.
Commissioner, that's a really good point. Both ends, if I showed the end, of course I don't have it, are open, so there should be at least somewhat of a wind tunnel effect going through there, but we'll work to identify any other, is a fan necessary or something like that to assist in that. That's a good point.
And John doesn't have to come up for this one, but the last 2 days at Roosevelt and Verado, there have been accidents, and it's because of the backup onto I-10. And the same thing coming southbound on Verado, people turning left into the Costco gas station. There's a backup again there on Verado, and it's just, the sooner we can get something done in this area, I know everyone agrees with this, the sooner we can get something done in this area, the better. So, thank you.
Thank you. All right, may I have a motion on 3C, please?
I move that we approve PLZSP-24-0023, Pros Verado site plan.
Is there a second?
I second it.
It's been moved and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. We will now have comments from the public.
We do not, Chair.
Thank you. Moving right back to my friend, Mr. Ken Galika.
Thank you, Chair. You just talked an awful lot there. So let me get quick with this. We have an extra week between this meeting and the next, just because the number of days in April. So enjoy a little bit of extra rest time. We will be back on 5/13, May 13th, for the Parks and Rec Master Plan, which you will issue a recommendation to council on. So that's an exciting item. I believe I mentioned at a previous meeting anyway, that we're looking at a summer break of sorts, canceling the second meetings in June, July, and August. So we would still meet on the second Tuesdays of every month, just would cancel the fourth meeting, or fourth Tuesday of every month. Look for that to be on your agenda for next meeting on the 13th. That is something that requires the commission's vote. So that is all I have, Chair.
Thank you. All hearts and minds are clear? Oh, excuse me, wait, I forgot. Thank you. Anything, Mr. Manuel?
I've got nothing.
Nothing, thank you.
Esther? Ms. Cupsack?
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to briefly make a statement that regarding the I-10 widening there, that the city has drafted a letter to the governor encouraging her to sign the bill that got through the legislature, and the Buckeye Valley Chamber, along with the West Valley Regional Chamber and the West Valley Chamber Alliance, have all signed on to that agreement, hoping that along with a lot of major businesses and other influential people, to encourage the governor to sign that bill. So maybe we'll get stuff done. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Hester?
No, I don't have anything tonight.
Mr. Bassler?
No comments.
Mr. Trippiano?
No comments.
Thank you. Now, if all hearts and minds are clear, meeting is adjourned. Thank you.